Yalaton. It's been about a month, I think. But it has
Found
not
that.
been a month in game. So when we last left off, our party was hired by Lord Orin and Countess Helene in association with Delana Fage and the Kingdom to spy on Lady Shadris Del Mar. A businesswoman is a little necessarily deals with some shady individuals, and the Kingdom has decided that it's about high time to finally take care of her and a local gang that is starting to get a little bit more aggressive in its dealings lately. They are known as the Rats. So when we last left off, Tia, Hannah's character,
Hi.
has snuck into the place where the business meeting is being held, and as such is eavesdropping in on the meeting. So the way that we're going to do this is the two of them have already walked in the room, who are hidden for now. I'm going to be having you make for me the occasional skill check to see what happens to you during the meeting. Okay, Hannah?
Yeah, no, I follow. You're good.
Okay. So, as the two of them walk into the room, they kind of greet each other, and from that, you can pretty much immediately surmise that the two of them are working together. Like, there really isn't a question about that anymore. And so the two of them begin talking, and she asks him, "So, why is it that you think your last operation was a complete and miserable failure?" This is why I didn't have enough men. My men that were supposed to be doing this mission went missing. She goes, "Oh, your men went missing. Well, I happen to know where they went." And he kind of starts forward and he kind of, demands to know, "Where are my men?" And she kind of looks at him and kind of says, "Oh, about 6 feet under, put there by some local adventurers. I'm sure you've run into them before." He kind of gets a little angry and starts stalking towards her. And at this point, I'd like you to make a stealth check for me.
Yes, sir. Give me. Sorry, don't remember all my ability rolls here.
No problem.
Stealth check is D20 plus thing, right?
Correct, and that'll be for you plus 9.
Yep. I had that much up, I just couldn't remember. I just want to make sure I was doing that right.
No problem, yeah.
There we go.
4. Okay. You stay completely hidden. No sounds made. He begins to stalk towards her, and he says, "Those adventurers had something to do with it. I'll have their heads." Now, she says, "Don't worry. I know the party slew your men. Now you do too. Now, you'll get your chance at them. Don't worry. I'm stringing the party along to do my biddings. So that way, we can rate to recruit some more people for you." And he's pacified a little bit by this, but in no uncertain terms, Rikus basically says, "Look, you've had a deal for arms and armaments coming into the city to help my men, as well as the ability to get more men. I need the next 3 shipments of equipment directly sent to me. Not this backhanded business involving Ironhearts. It comes to me. And I'm running out of men because of your poor management skills to send my missions on little errands where they get killed by adventurers who don't know better than to stick their nose into places it doesn't belong." Can you roll a stealth check for me, please?
That's the same one you just had me roll, right?
Correct. Okay, you're still good. Del Mar steps forward and kind of counters him, saying, "I've only said you need to send your men out on the missions that you see fit. perhaps you need to reevaluate what's important to the gang rather than pursue your own self-interests. One sec, guys. One sec. I'm sorry.
You're okay.
Alright, so she kind of basically says you need to figure out your own shit rather than going after things that are your interest in going after as well. Before he has the opportunity to walk over to her, you hear a door open. At this point, I would like for you to make a perception, or not a perception, another stealth check for me, please. Oh, nice. You actually heard the door kind of before they did, and when you look down, you see a man cloaked only in black walk in and enter the room. He is wearing a dark black cloak that obscures his figure and his face. The only thing that it doesn't hide on him is a gleaming rapier that commands the attention of both Rikus and Shadris Delmar.
That's a sword, right?
Yes.
Okay,
It's
sorry.
a military, fencing. It's a fencing style sword.
Okay, sorry. That's what I thought it was, but I was just wanted to double check. As you were, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so he kind of steps in, and he kind of Rikus kind of steps towards her, but he kind of outstretches his arms to keep them both apart from each other, and he looks at the pair of them, and you can make out the faint shake of a head, and you can hear him say, "Listen, I'm not interested in the petty affairs that you muddle in. What interests me more is getting the people who are causing you such grief out of your hair. Now, my men are tracking them in this city. They move on my command, and my command only. Overstep your bounds once. Try me." And when he says that, he extracts a dagger from his cloak and hurls it into the ground with such force. Normally a knife would just stick straight into a piece of wood and just leave a really clean cut. He chucks it into the ground so hard, the wood actually splinters around it.
Oh god.
He turns around, and as he does, I'd like you to make a stealth check. You're good.
Okay, thank god.
You're good. As he turns around, though, you notice something peculiar. He turns around, and as he walks out the door, you see the dagger magically reappear back in his hand. He sheathes it back within his cloak, and he walks out of the door. So the two of them kind of look at each other, and they just kind of shake their heads. And Rikus says, "I never did like him. Ryder always was a little bit too forceful for my liking." Delmar kind of nods her head, and she says, "Yes, but he is definitely not one to be crossed. Now, let's discuss your next plan. You are going to attempt to kidnap Eris again, correct?" He says, "Yes, that is the plan. This time I actually have men to take care of it. However, this time we're going to capture him, and then what do you plan on doing with him?" She says, "Oh, there's no plans to hold him for ransom. Not this time. This time, I need to get a little more information about our newfound adventurers. I want them to come to me, run a side operation, and in that time, you're going to kidnap Eris. You're going to kill him, and then I'm going to frame the party for the murder." Rikus kind of grins, and he says, "You do have this all figured out already, don't you?" She says, "Don't you worry about that. We move tomorrow night. That is all. And Rikus kind of bows to her, and Rikus leaves, followed by Delmar. So at this point, the room is empty.
Okay, do you want me to take over from here? Do you want to plan of action from me?
Yeah, you can go ahead and take it over a little bit from here.
I immediately I move as quickly as I can back to the tavern.
I would like you to make another stealth check for me, please.
Doing your stealth check here.
Okay, so this time, as you're making your way out, there's a small patrol of guards walking around the city, wearing uniforms that you believe that could potentially be similar to Rikus, and you hear one of them say, "Hey, where'd she come from? Looked like she came out of the meeting building. Get her!" I would like for you to roll a 1d20 for me at this point, please.
God help me.
There is no God here.
God damn it.
Okay, so as you're running, you kind of hear this loud, almost kind of screech. And when you look up to see the direction of the screech, you almost see like a flare firing off. And the guards are like, "What the?" And two of them get pounded down to the ground with just this loud thunk. And you hear the hissing of a smoke bomb. And you hear a familiar voice saying, "Run! Come with me." What do you do?
Give me a second.
Okay.
I stand there for a moment and I debate what to do, knowing that I don't have much time, that I have to make a quick decision. But I choose to run back to the tavern, knowing what I've just heard and deciding that I can't trust anybody except my party.
Okay. Well, so you're running to the tavern, and the person who said, "Come with me, hurry," is heading in that same direction.
Then I guess I go with them for like a little bit. I start running with them, I guess, towards the tavern with the intention of going into the tavern. But as we're running, I ask, "Who are you?"
He removes the cloak from his face, and you recognize it's Eris Frisson.
I immediately...
It's the guy that you rescued earlier.
Right.
Okay.
I immediately grab him as we reach the tavern and pull him in with me, telling him not a word about who I am.
Alright, I'm moving back to the tavern. It may take a couple of screens to get there accurately since we're kind of far off in here. Not there. And we're certainly not there.
What?
There we go.
But we are right here. Alright, so you've walked in and Eris is with you.
I immediately begin kind of with mild panic of, we have to protect him or we're all screwed.
I stand up from the chair and say, "Wait, what's going on here?"
You have to listen to me. We cannot let him out of our sights. He is not a prisoner, but we need to protect him or all of us are screwed.
Whoa, calm down. Protect him we shall, but what's going on?
Eris kind of looks and says, "Yeah, all of a sudden, why am I so important?"
Because if you leave our sights, we're getting framed for murder, and take a wild guess as to whose murder it'll be.
I slam down my tankard and say, "Murder? Who would accuse us of such treachery?"
2 guesses first, 1 doesn't count, big guy.
Is it you?
I look over at Torvok and say, "Shut up. This is serious."
The bartender kind of laughs and says, "She did say the first one didn't count."
It's our good friend who continues to hire us who wants us dead.
Is it the barkeeper?
He kind of shoots a glance sideways at you and he says, "I don't want all you dead. Just the ones who don't buy anything."
So you must
And
love me then.
So
I
far, all you bought stuff from me.
I immediately tell them all to sit. I immediately say, "Sit down. This is serious," and I begin to tell them everything I've heard.
Eris kind of sits at a table and he goes, "Wait a second, though. So you mean to tell me that when I was ambushed by the wolves, there was supposed to be a pack of them coming for me, but you guys killed them earlier because they're the ones who went after Rain?"
Yes.
And now they're going to be coming for me again.
But this time, it's not going to be for ransom. They want you dead, and I will not have the murder. I will not be accused of murder. I don't care what happens to you. I will not be accused of murder. I will not let her win. Do you understand me, all of you?
I stand up and say, "There's no way he's getting murdered. Not on my watch. Everything's gonna be fine. We just have to come up with a plan."
He kind of looks around and he says, "Well, if from what I understand to be true, you're working for the kingdom for this one, and you're trying to take her down, aren't you?"
With everything we have.
Well, perhaps it might scare her if you take down the rats, too. If her enforcers are all of a sudden gone, then how is she going to be able to make any moves? She's a figure that's being watched closely by the kingdom. She can't possibly do something like that on her own. That's why she needs the rats. She needs the thugs.
I tell Eris that murder does not justify more murder. We're not going to kill innocent people part of a gang just because we need to save a life.
But he's on to something. What if we got them to become...
How innocent are they really?
They don't know. What if they don't know? I'm all for innocent murder. I'm all for doing anything, but...
Of course you are.
I ignore the comment from Torvok.
I stand up and say, "Torvok, quiet. We're not murdering people we don't know. That's final."
Do we
I'm
even
all-
have to murder them? Can we just incapacitate them?
Why don't we talk with them first? Let's see if we can get one of them maybe to spill some information. Let's not go in blind here, and let's not just start killing random people.
I'm all for murdering random people, but seeing as we're not going to get this dwarf here to go on and take the easy route, what if we try to get them to take our side, to help us take them down? The more heads, the better, and I hate to say that with all my might, but without murder, we either get them on our side or we're screwed. This is
Eris
not...
says, "You're trying to bring the rats to your side of the equation?"
Well, what do you have a better plan over there, Mr. Royalty?
What are you doing here anyway? Like, I know Tia was out getting information, but where did you come from?
Let's just say that without me, you might not be talking to her right now.
That's fine.
Yeah, what do
what
you
were
know
you
about
doing
living
out
on the
there?
streets?
He says, "I don't know enough about living on the streets. I don't have that kind of experience, but what I do have experience in is how the rats have had shady business dealings for quite some time. Clearly, if they're looking to bring me in to kill me, then murder is indeed a new tool in their kit. Would you really want me to be the first?
So if the
Do
rats
you
have
think they'll stop with me?"
If the rats have such a network, why don't we start by maybe cutting some of those ties and bleeding them out financially and with any ties they have within the city?
Well, look at here. We got someone with a half-decent idea that doesn't involve murder. I agree with him.
Kind of looks
I
around.
could go with
and
that plan.
He says, well, it's a tricky one, but the question is, you say they plan to murder me, so the question is, how long am I going to have to stay under this dutiful protectorate, kind of with a smirk, of yours?
Quiet, child, or we'll feed you to the wolves again.
We're not feeding him to the wolves. He's not dying. If he dies under our watch, then Lady Shadra is still going to blame us. You are going to be under our watch. We are going to make you one of us. You will act like one of us, and you will fight with us until we deem that you are safe and that Lady Shadra is done. I will not be framed for murder.
I
will
nod
do
my
a
head
lot
in
of things.
agreement.
Interesting proposal. So I become one of you for this little side operation?
You will fight with us. You will learn to fight with us, and you will become and you will live like one of us. I look to the barkeep and say, if he has to pay rent, put it under my name.
I say, and get him a beer.
He says I'm 16.
Get him a wine.
Yeah.
Get him a light beer.
And he kind of looks at you and he says, that's more like it.
I roll my eyes and I say, he'll have the wine later. I'm going to take him upstairs and teach him our ways. Royalty like that needs to learn how to live on the streets.
Barkeep says, very good. Now, if the royal guards do come looking for him, what am I supposed to say?
I don't care what lie you have to make up. I'll give you 1 gold for every lie you tell.
Tell him we went for a walk. We'll be back soon.
And of the boy?
Of the boy was never here. You never saw him. You know nothing about him.
What boy?
Exactly, Torbach.
Exactly.
He says, intriguing. I don't know how long you'll be able to pull this charade off, but...
If it doesn't work, make something up. Every lie that was not fed to you by us, you get 1 gold for. Do you understand, barkeep?
He nods his head.
I may not like
under my
any of
breath,
you,
not my gold, but whatever.
I pull the prince up and I say, take your wine. We're going upstairs. Someone needs to get you out of those ridiculous clothes. You'll stand out like a sore thumb. All of you stay down here. I'll take care of him myself. And with that, I drag him upstairs.
I nod in agreement and go to the bar.
Alright, so the 2 of you guys are now upstairs.
Are we not doing phrasing?
The 2 of them are upstairs.
No, I'm talking about the undressing thing. Okay, never mind.
What?
That ship has sailed. Let's move on. So the barkeep kind of looks at the 4 of you and goes, well, that definitely didn't take a turn I was expecting.
It never does.
When you're a boss like us.
Give me a plate of food.
He begins to cook it up for you.
I'll have a mead.
He pours one out for you and slides it to you. And he says, and to the others, looking at both Root and Homer,
I'm good
I'm
for
good
now.
for now.
so he kind of looks at you 4 and he says, so you plan to integrate the prince into a plot to make him one of your own, basically utilizing him in plain sight to prevent him from being kidnapped by Del Mar.
I look at him and say I'm not crazy about it either, but whatever works.
He says, well, it certainly wouldn't have been the route that I'd take, but to each of you your own.
Well, sometimes the best way to keep something hidden is to hide it in plain sight. Hopefully that works.
He says, it is a fair point. So now, what do you do next? You do have to at least seek out information the ability to start pressing people to potentially find out information about the rats, their hideouts, any ties that may put them together.
What time of day is it right now? Out of
Right now it
character?
is nighttime. It is
It is-
about
okay.
10:30, 11 o'clock
So
at night.
shops are closed.
Shops are definitely closed
Okay.
right now. There's really nobody else patrolling around the streets. I mean, as large of a hubbub that the whole thing could have caused outside with Tia coming back after being spotted by the rats, that didn't happen because Tia and Eris hauled ass fast enough to the tavern that they didn't see where it went because of the smoke bomb.
Okay.
Woo.
So,
So
I
Eris's
guess
little distraction served sufficient enough to get out of there and not be seen.
I guess that we're just talking as a party right now, besides Tia, who's upstairs.
And we'll eventually cut to her in a minute or two.
Sure. Okay.
No
So
worries.
I address the other people with me here and say, I think we should formulate a plan, split up in the morning, and talk to certain shopkeepers. We know the armorer, the armorsmith, the blacksmith, or whatever, was getting orders. Maybe that's a good place to start. We can go back to the bakery because they were shooken up for some money earlier, so they obviously have some ties. We'll move around in 2 groups, maybe. What do you guys think?
That sounds good to me.
Sounds like a plan, Stan.
Sure.
He says, I, for one, do remember an older business dealing that happened before the rats came in. I don't know if it would be any help, but it could potentially give you something.
Go on.
He says, it wasn't an arrangement that I personally had, but it was among a former associate of Corey, the owner of Silver Peaks in the Byrus district.
And what sort of arrangement was it?
That I'm not privy to. Just knowing that the deal was taken offline after his associate was murdered. I don't know if that has any ties to the rats or not, but if it does, then it's quite possible that you are dealing with a party who may not necessarily be trading off murder as a new trick. Maybe it's something they have done in the past and you just haven't heard about it. But
Well, I
Corey
would
at
def-
Silver Peaks could be of value.
Okay, so I think that should definitely be checked out.
What's the bartender's name again? I can't remember.
This guy here?
Yeah,
Len.
Len. And I forgot from the first one. Is this the only tavern in town?
This is the only... can you guys give me 1 second here? I'll be
Yeah.
right back.
Yeah, no problem.
Sure.
Oh, okay, it was just some guy walking by. So, this is the only tavern in this section of the town.
Okay.
However, there is a tavern over in the Byrus district, which is where you originally met, Delana.
Okay.
Corey is the barkeep there.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, as a quick little refresher there.
Okay.
So, Corey is the one who was in the bar on the other side of town, basically. But these are pretty much like the 2 main, like, pubs that actually have frequent business that goes through them.
Len, it seems strange that being the main barkeep in this section of town, you wouldn't have had any run-in with the rats. Are you sure you don't have any more information?
He kind of looks a little bit around. If you'd like, you can insight check that.
Yeah, I do want to do that.
He's a little uneasy, but he says that he didn't have any straightforward dealings with the rats because he felt that they were trouble. And as a result, he resorted to making his deals and such for getting supplies and what have you with the local courier in the town, Rain.
Okay. Are you...
So
I
Rain was the person that you guys treated earlier, helped with his injuries and what have you. So,
Mhm.
like, all of his business dealings, like, he goes on to kind of explain it's not widely known to the public, but the Wyvern's Tail is a business that is jointly owned by both Len and Rain. Rain kind of being the supply side and, like, the management of the place, whereas he's kind of, like, the hospitality, kind of the face of it. If you kind of want to liken it to something out of universe in real life, if you want to think about it like this, like one person is almost kind of like Iwata and the other's like Miyamoto, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah, okay.
Like one person deals with like all the business ends, all the back keep on that stuff, and then the other person is kind of like the face of it, the one who kind of takes care of all of it and that kind of stuff. So Rain is the businessman end of that one, whereas Len is more or less the face.
Well,
So
okay, so I say to Lynn,
because
well,
of
surely being a partner, you might have heard something your partner would have said. Are you sure you don't have any more information?
he says, I can tell you that our supply runs, we often didn't have to rely hardly at all on outside sources to get our supplies. Rain took care of all that dealing. He would have a better knowledge of that than I would.
I nod and say, fair enough. If anything comes up, let us know.
He says, I will. So, from him, you basically have surmised that Rain, if you're going to get any information about the business sides of dealings with this, anything that is, like, inside the tavern he's going to know about, but any of, like, the macro stuff, like, outside of it, like the management aspects, he's not the guy to ask.
One more question, Lynn. How many times have you seen members of the Rats come in here just to drink or whatever? Like,
He kinda thinks
how
over it.
rare would it be to see them in here randomly, just in case things happen?
He said the last time that I saw a member of the Rats in this establishment, maybe a couple of months ago. I hear they favor Silver Peaks a little bit more than this side of the town. I think it has something to do more with the proximity to Fort Saros, honestly. We're a lot closer to the royalty, which means there's a bit more guards stationed here. They're not exactly in the worst of district, but Silver Peaks is a lot less, it's a lot more out of the way for the guards to patrol, so at least there's easier ways for them to get shadier business done in that part of the town.
I nod and tell the rest of the party, worst comes to worst, this seems as safe a place as any to store some cargo we don't want to be found.
He says it probably is not too bad of a place, given that you actually cleared out the rats underneath here. You don't have to worry about it being destroyed.
Okay, cool. I go back to eating, or I grab my meal from Len. I'm assuming it's done cooking now, and start eating.
Yeah.
I have nothing left to say.
Okay. We're gonna bounce up to your room where it is
Hi.
only up there Tia and Eris. So Eris kind of steps out of one of the rooms. His armor isn't necessarily quite nearly as gaudy, so to speak.
Right.
It's still a little on the fancier side, but it's not something that's going to make him, necessarily stick out like a sore thumb. In fact, if you guys actually want, I can use his picture as reference within Discord. You guys can actually see kind of what his armor kind of resembles now.
Where are you putting this?
This is in Discord, in chat.
Oh, general
Okay.
chat. Okay, I was.
So it's a little bit bulkier than, say, what your atypical rogue would wear, but it's also like it's nothing that would make too much attention getting, but it's also something that would probably be sufficient enough for him. Doesn't
Okay.
necessarily pass him off as royalty.
Right. I tell him, all right, remember, we
You're
picked
okay.
you up. You came into town suddenly and decided and joined our crew. We were missing one more member. Do not forget your backstory. You know nothing of your past life. If anyone asks you about what you did before you came to this town, tell them you had amnesia and you don't remember. This is important. Do you understand me?
He kind of nods his head, and he says, "All right, but the one thing I don't remember is how did I find this place?"
You were wandering aimlessly after your last encounter when you hit your head and got the amnesia.
Do I know whereabouts where that place was?
No. Remember, just keep it simple, okay?
He kind of nods his head and he goes, all right, all right.
I know we weren't friends, and trust me, we still aren't. But I'm doing this for remember, I'm doing this for selfish reasons. I still hate your guts.
He says, good to know. Feels good to be appreciated after saving your life.
Doesn't make up the fact that you were an asshole when we were in school.
He kind of looks around and he says, who wasn't, though?
I chuckle and say, that's probably fair. That's why I avoided all of you like the plague.
He kind of then looks around and says, yeah, by the way, how the heck did you drop off of the radar so effectively?
Years of planning. Made some friends back in the town where father ruled. You know, some people had a little, not as much help as I wanted, or more help than I wanted, but being an elf means you live around some nice forests. Just kind of easy to dart away.
He kind of scoffs and he kind of looks around and he kind of says, wish I had that chance myself.
We're not friends, but I know this isn't your choice, but we might be able to help you when we're done here. If you decide to stay like this.
He says,
Prove
my
yourself worthy.
father wouldn't have it.
Prove yourself worthy and I'll help you drop off the face of the earth.
His eyes kind of light up, and he's like, that's all I've ever really wanted, was to not be noticed for once.
It's hard when you're Mr. Popular blonde hair.
Yeah. He kind of smiles and says, damn my good looks.
I chuckle with a smile, remembering the days of schooling. Yeah. You might want to fix that if you want to remain off the face of the earth. Get a little mud on the tires, so to speak.
He kind of looks in horror, and he kind of puts his hands to his hair. He's like, I don't have to lose this, do I?
Oh, honey. Your hair cannot stay like that. You stick out like a sore thumb. It'll be hard enough keeping you under wraps now with that hair.
He's still saying, I don't have to go bald, do I?
You don't have to... I chuckle again. No, you don't have to go bald, but it sure as hell can't stay that nice.
He kind of laughs and he kind of starts messing up his hair, and he says, look, at least messy hair runs in the family. Did you see my father's when you came to visit?
I chuckled and go, they've always looked terrible. Even father said so when we went to visit.
He says, look, it's not my fault I got my mom's hair. And it's fairly true. His mom's hair was actually quite a bit more presentable than Oren's was. Oren's
Yeah.
was kind of that long, disheveled mess, while Helene's was like actually fairly presentable.
Yeah. I don't have any train of thought right now. Hold up.
So he kind of says, "So, perhaps it might not be the worst of idea to find out what your friends are thinking."
Probably. It's nice to talk to someone about the old days. I hate thinking about them, but every once in a while, remembering how it was. If you decide not to drop off the face of the earth, send a letter to my father and let him know that I'm okay. I know he's worried.
He kind of looks and he says, "I may do that before I disappear."
I nod in gratitude and say, "Back downstairs with you. Come on." And I make my way
Alright.
back down.
So the two of you then head downstairs and meet up with the rest of the party.
I just finished eating at this point and pushed my plate away.
I come
Okay.
I come downstairs yelling, or not yelling, but like speaking loudly. All right. So what have you folks been down here doing? I hope it was productive.
I've been drinking.
I nod and say, besides Torvok, who's been drinking the whole time, we formulated a basic plan. In the morning, when the shop's open, we're gonna go talk to separate shopkeepers, see what their connections to the rats are, and see if maybe we can persuade them otherwise or get more information before we jump it blindly into anything.
Are we splitting up or are we staying together?
We're gonna be splitting up. I'm thinking in 3 groups of 2.
I
What-
prefer 2 group 3.
I look over
Here's-
to the prince. What do we do with him?
Well,
Does he stay or
We
does
need
he come
to-
with us?
he comes with us. He's not safe here. We can't guarantee his safety here. The only way we can guarantee he will remain safe is if he comes with us. You and I will take the prince when we go. We need we need 2 strong warriors to protect him just in case something happens.
I nod in agreement.
You and I, which
Do we
shops
know
do you want to
where,
go to
where-
tomorrow?
That's what I was going to ask. Where all are we planning on going? Scope out.
The barkeep kind of rolls out a map with some of the areas marked on it, saying, "If it helps you," and goes back to kind of cleaning the dishes.
Appreciate it. Appreciate all your help, Len. I mean, I walk over and I sit down at the bar, and I look at the map.
Eris kind of peers over as well.
I look to Baron and I say, "We need to take the area. You and I will have to take the areas where we're least likely to run into the rats or to Lady Chandra."
I nod in agreement and say, I think we hit up Rain first. Maybe he'll be a little more forthcoming with information since we did save his life and all by my healing.
The rest of you go off. Start at the bakery first. Ask them about being. If the rats show up while you're there, you were never there. Bribe them if you have to, Homer, so that the rats never know we were there.
Also, bring me some cupcakes.
Even I chuckle at that. Even Tia chuckles at that one.
Gotcha.
Fucking dwarves.
How many cupcakes?
I give Root a bag of 5 gold, however much that pays for. Okay, I'm gonna take 5
Okay.
gold out of my inventory. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm adding 5.
I look to
So-
Homer and say, "You are in charge. You are in charge of bribing the bakery keeps. I don't care how much it costs you. We'll make it up at another time. I will give you my share of our next job if I have to. But you are the one here who's going to be able to do that the best."
I kind of want some rum cake now. If Baron's getting cupcakes,
Well, you'll
You're
have your
going-
time
We'll
tomorrow.
be at the bakery.
You're
You'll be able
going to the
get it.
bakery
Come
tomorrow.
on.
I love how out of character. I love how everybody just like turns towards him and says basically the same thing.
I mean, if Baron's getting cupcakes, you know.
You're going to be in the bakery with us.
Don't worry about it, Torvald.
Are you listening
work
to
out.
anything we're saying, Torvok? I angrily say to him.
Every other word.
Also, we
I
need to
walk
go
over there and
to.
slap him. What am I rolling? I want to slap him. What am I rolling?
Unarmed basic attack, so 1d20 plus the strength mod plus half level. So for you, that's going to be 1d20 plus 4.
Thank you. Sorry, he needs to be slapped.
Not really.
Isn't it versus AC?
Maybe versus reflex.
Probably versus reflex because she's going for the face. Like she's not trying to hurt you. She's trying to smack you upside the head. And in either case, it's a miss on both fronts.
Yeah,
Fair
I got
enough.
15.
I sigh and I move back over. Listen to what we're saying. This is important. It is a matter of life and death. Get that through your thick, ugly skull.
So Len kind of leans in and he says, "So from what I'm gathering, based on your plans here, it looks like you guys want to try to go the city from right to left."
Do you have a better idea?
And also, where does
He's-
Silver Peaks fall into this?
Silver Peaks is on the left-hand side. It's in the Byrus district.
Silver Peaks is going to have to be taken by you guys. I don't know if you have time tomorrow, knock yourselves out. If not, we'll hit it the next day.
He says, I'm just not sure what the best way to go about this is, because as you said, you're trying your best to avoid the rats, but you're also trying to avoid Del Mar, which is a very interesting pair of groups to have to avoid, because on one end of the city, you're not really going to see one, but you're definitely going to see the other, and on the other side of the city, vice versa. You ain't going to see her, but you're going to see rats.
Oh,
He says,
It's
just be
better if
careful,
we-
it's a balancing act.
Where would we be most likely to see rats?
He says, in the Byrus district for sure.
Okay, this is what we do. After we're done hitting up our different destinations, we'll meet up and we can split off from there. I will go to the Byrus district with another group, while Tia can look after Eris with another group. Maybe keep him more hidden. We're not going to take him into rat territory.
Eris kind of looks up and clears his throat. He says, "My name's Galen, right?" Kind of looking at Tia.
he's right. We should start calling him by his group name.
Eris, Galen, whatever. Just stay out of sight and don't get killed.
But
kinda
help
nods
him
his head.
remember his backstory. It's not easy for him. This is going to be hard on all of us. At least make an effort.
I stand up and say, the effort, little lady, is the we're gonna make sure your little boy doesn't get killed here.
And you know what? If he did, it's not just me who's in trouble now, is it? It's all of us. Team, and I hate saying that with all my might, but you need to understand that while I have taken head of this mission, this is all of our problem if something happens to him. You all need to understand that. You didn't hear her say it. I did. I know what she's going to do to us if anything happens to him. And I hate working with you people, but I will do anything to make sure this man does not die.
Then
Do you
why-
all understand me?
I say, why don't we start with how you're connected to all of this before I go risking my neck out for somebody I basically just met?
What do you mean?
How do you know all this information? Who are you?
I stood over and listened to her meeting today. What do you mean? You know what I was doing.
You recognized her the first time we met.
Yes, I did. I've been in the city for a while. I've seen her before. I worked under her. I thought I told you this. I worked under her for a little bit in an attempt to earn a quick buck or two, and I hated every minute of it. I told you what she did to us.
I'm rolling an insight check.
Okay.
Out of character, I did actually say all of this last session. I do vividly remember this.
So your insight check doesn't necessarily reveal anything that she didn't tell you otherwise. Like,
Okay.
she's not holding back anything here that you can tell anyway.
Okay.
You have no reason to believe she's lying to you.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone else have anything they want to talk about right now? Or anything, or does anyone else want to question me right now? At this point, I'm
gonna-
standing up, looking at the crew, including Eris.
Insight check just to see if I think she's lying.
That's what I thought. Let's get back to planning what we're doing tomorrow. I want this done as soon as possible.
You feel she's holding something back.
Who?
Homer.
Me.
Oh. Sorry, I can't hear him. I actually can't hear him.
Yeah, Homer did an insight check to see like what he thought, and she's not lying, but there's something she's not saying, but you just don't know what yet.
Before you get all
just-
defensive, Titha, it's obvious you're keeping something from us. I don't know what. I don't really care, but just, maybe think twice before you keep doing that. If we're gonna be sticking together.
I didn't hear the first part of what you said.
He said he believes you're holding something back. He doesn't know what, and he doesn't care, but think twice before continuing down that path.
What I do and do not tell you is none of your business. You will know what you need to know about me and nothing more.
Well, then you'll know what you need to know about me, and I'm gonna sit here and drink. Have fun.
Second.
Okay, then. At this point, it is getting very late within the tavern. It is probably about midnight.
I
What
stop.
does the party choose to do?
I angrily go
Um,
upstairs. I'm going to bed. All of you should be fresh in the morning for when we should all be fresh in the morning before we go out and interrogate. And then I go upstairs and fall into bed.
I just want some cupcakes now, actually.
I move over to Eris/Galen and say, "How's it going, buddy?"
He says it's been an interesting last few days. Let's just put it that way.
It's gonna get much more interesting, friend. Len, another wine for the boy here.
He kind of looks and he says, "Alright, I wouldn't advise staying up much later."
I clink glasses with him and say, "Nonsense. To what's to come."
Eris kind of smiles and kind of nods. Downs the wine.
I pat him on the back and say, go to bed, boy. It's getting late."
He kind of gets up and he says, "Well, see you all tomorrow, I suppose."
Okay, I move over to sit
He
with
heads
Homer
upstairs.
and say, "What do you think that was all about?"
I don't know, man. I don't know. She obviously has some connection to this place beyond what she's telling, but I don't even know why she's lying to us.
I nod and say, "I agree. I don't honestly care what's going on. I just want to know what I'm getting into."
Yeah, I'm not so sure about keeping this kid with us all the time. It's risky. If we're being paid to do a job, we should be informing our employers what we're up to, but maybe this is the way to go. I don't know.
In an attempt to relate more to Homer, I say, "But he is a prince. Think about the treasures that could be."
Oh, I mean, we gotta do this job. There's too much money to be had here, but just hope we're not in over our heads. Hope don't like not knowing stuff. I like knowing all the parameters beforehand. Makes me nervous. Not.
I nod and look over to the bar and say, What about them? Why are they so distant?
I respond that I'm tired and I'm actually going to go to bed. And as I make my way to the stairs, I stop. Baron, what did you have a preference on cupcakes?
Something with pink frosting.
Why was I expecting that?
All right, I'll do my best.
And I'm just thinking about what's to come. Not sure what to make of all this stuff.
I look over to Torvak and say, I know you don't trust her. I don't necessarily either. But unfortunately, we're all stuck in this together until it's done.
I'm not sure what I trust, but I trust you, Baron. Put my hand on your shoulder.
I break away and say, yeah, it's bedtime, and hurriedly walk upstairs.
Shot down again,
Alright.
Torvak. I head upstairs too.
I pay my what's my damage, Len?
5 gold.
Pay my tab, throw in an extra.
Alright. And head up. Okay. This seems like a wonderful place to take a break, and actually an excellent opportunity for me
Yeah.
to